It's good, fight fans. So I meant to do this video yesterday, and also happy belated Father's Day to all the dads out there doing the damn thing for your kids. And I meant to do this yesterday. Got actually physically went to do it and got tied up, and obviously um, enjoying my Father's Day with my son. But on to the matters at hand. There's a lot of boxing Saturday, and if you tune in tonight on the GYGB Boxing Podcast, we're going to talk about Andre Ward versus Paul Smith, David Lemieux versus Hassan Adam. We're going to talk about Errol Spence. But the fight, just real briefly, I'm going to talk more about it tonight. All of us are going to talk about it tonight. Adrien Broner and Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter beats Adrien Broner, unanimous decision. In, I guess what some people would call an ugly fight. I tend to somewhat agree, but I think really the storyline in this fight, man, is Adrien Broner. I think we're at a point right now where I think he's hit that point where he's at a crossroads. And when I picked Broner to win this fight, it was really based on the notion of the catch weight. I didn't think Porter was going to make the weight. Well, not that he wouldn't make the weight, but I didn't think he was going to make it comfortably. And then the talks of that, there being a hydration clause, obviously didn't become the case, as from what I read and what everybody else read. I guess the contracts were signed literally like just before the fight, and there was no hydration clause. And Broner weighed in at 143, and Porter weighed in at 144. So the way the fight played out, man, is just, Porter didn't do anything. He didn't do anything great in this fight. I mean, I think if anything, man, he was just really busy. And when you look at the punch stats, I mean, I think that pretty much tells you like how the fight went. I think Broner, I mean, he had every opportunity, I think, to turn the fight around or to make it to make the fight a lot easier on himself than he did. But I mean, to be quite honest with you, man, I mean, I if you go back to my previous videos about Adrien Broner, I mean, I have no problems telling you I've never been the biggest fan of his, whether it's what he does inside or outside of the ring. I just never bought him, and I can go back to the Ponce de Leon fight. I can go to the Malignaggi fight. I mean, obviously, we could talk about the Maidana fight. We could talk about this fight. And just in between those fights, man, I mean, I think a lot of us just see the potential, but I think at the end of the day, man, if Broner's not taking himself or the sport seriously, it's gonna show in the ring. And this is no disrespect to Shawn Porter, but Shawn Porter is a guy that Broner, quite honestly, should have beaten soundly. And like I said, it's no knock on Porter, but Porter to me is not a top 5 welterweight. So with how Porter approached this fight, I'm texting with some of the some of my boys and some of the GYGB crew, and I'm like, imagine like Keith Thurman in there, or imagine like a Maidana rematch, or think of like a Kell Brook, even a Danny Garcia who's making his way to 147. I mean, when you look at the division and what it looks like, and even if you go to 140, okay, Broner's in a very tough predicament right now, man. And like I said, I think this was a fight he should have won, and I really don't think he took this fight as seriously as I think he should have. And considering the fact that like Nate Jones was helping him out, Floyd was helping him out, Broner has help that a lot of fighters in boxing today would jump fences, jump hurdles to even be around the likes of those people because of the track record, specifically with Floyd. Then you got Floyd Sr. there, you got Roger, like I said, Nate Jones. You have a lot of experience. And for him to perform the way he did, and also just his attitude before and particularly after the fight, I understand trying to sell yourself, but at the end of the day, man, if you have no substance in the ring, it doesn't matter. You're going to be a circus show, okay? Because as much as Camacho, guys like Hector Camacho used to talk a lot of shit, used to be flamboyant, flashy. You know, look, man, I remember seeing him like in the cusp of his prime, and but guess what? He showed it in the ring. You know, Macho Camacho is one of the most underrated fighters in history, but he had substance in the ring. To me, Adrien Broner doesn't have much substance in the ring, though we see the obvious potential. You know, and I think, like I mentioned before, for me at least, and I know I'm not the only one who agrees with this, the writing's been on the wall for me for a while, man. And I think if he can't get past a Shawn Porter, he's not going to get past some of these other killers in the division who, at this point now, are looking at Broner like a piece of steak. Yeah, you know, and I think this was a major setback for Adrien Broner. And that's not to say that he can't come back from this, but I think right now he's at a point where, number one, he needs to reconsider maybe the people he has around him. Number two, maybe you need to reconsider, you know, your crew, people that are training you, and really just reevaluate your future as far as how you're gonna go forward from here on out into the sport, because boxing is like has been mentioned in the past. You know, boxing is not a game. You know, it's a sport, but it's not a game, and it's something that I think even for somebody as young as Broner is, he has a lot of maturing to do, man. A lot of maturing. And I don't mean just the shit talking and things like that. I mean, we can go down the line throughout history of fighters who talk shit. I mean, it's good to sell a fight, but if you have no substance in the ring and you don't put your 110 in training, it's going to show in the fight, and it showed in the fight. You know, he didn't throw enough punches, and there were points where he managed to drop Porter, right? But even with that being said, throughout the whole fight, he was holding, headlocking, wasn't throwing enough, and he got deducted a point. And honestly, I would have deducted a point like by round 6. You know, and Tony Weeks, I mean, he gave him, he gave him a lot of chances before most refs, I think, would have given him a point or deducted a point. So for Shawn Porter, man, I don't think he's gonna get the Floyd fight, but I mean, to be honest with you, man, I don't think like he would fare well against like a Keith Thurman, or, you know, you already lost to Kell Brook. And, you know, I look at the top 5 at welterweight, and it's like that's kind of a tough. It's tough for me to pick Porter over any of those guys. But again, man, like, you know, Broner coming out of this fight, I really think, man, he needs to reevaluate, like seriously, reevaluate his, you know, basically reevaluate how serious he takes his sport. He's still young, you know, but he can't afford to take losses like this, or he can't continue to take losses like this, because, you know, Shawn Porter, man, like I said, at best is like barely a top 5 or, you know, top 10 welterweight, man. And for me, I mean, I have no problem saying, man, I think Broner is really gonna be just a name. You know, I've never been really sold on him, simply because of the fact of if he doesn't take himself seriously, why should I? You know, and I think that is really starting to show now, even from some of the Broner fans and some of the, you know, because some of the Mayweather fans are, not everybody, but like, you know, there's that obvious, you know, crew of people that like Mayweather and like Broner, but like I think people are really starting to look at Broner now like, this guy is not the guy. You know what I mean? Now, when you talk about guys like Errol Spence, who we'll talk about later tonight, that's a guy, when you look at his focus, when you look at his demeanor, he has, the writing is on the wall with that guy as far as him being a future star in the sport, as far as a guy that could hold the torch after Floyd leaves, because it ain't Broner. I have no problem saying that. So That's pretty much it. I'm going to go into more detail tonight. Tune in tonight, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, the GYGB Boxing Podcast. We're going to talk about, like I said, Andre Ward, Paul Smith, the David Lemieux, Hassan Adam fight, and obviously the Broner versus Porter fight. So stay tuned. Hit the link in the comment section, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time tonight. Call in. I'm going to be putting the number there in the call ID. Feel free. And as I always say, subscribe, hit the links. This weekend, Timothy Bradley versus Jesse Vargas. I will be doing a video tomorrow about it. And that's pretty much it. Tune in tonight. I'll see you soon. Peace.